Welcome to a new episode of Outside the Panels with your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes.
Welcome everyone to an episode of Outside the Panels. I am here, Johnny the Machine Hughes, to have another great Kickstarter for you to have a look at. Better get your back and fingers up quick and ready, because I tell you what, this one's got 10 days left, already funded. When I talk to you about the people involved and the projects they've worked on, you will get super excited. I'm talking to Adam Martin and Eben Matthews of Robot Chicken fame. Gentlemen!
Johnny, hello. Very nice to meet you.
Very nice to be here. Yes.
I mean,
hello.
Let's just start at the top and work our way down. When people say Robot Chicken, they're like, whoa, what?
We're right there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess, for clarity's sake, we actually have a company called Macroverse, and we're working with the team at Robot Chicken, the founders of Stupid Buddy Studios, who make Robot Chicken and Crossing Swords and so many other wonderful things that we're all fans of. And this is their first graphic novel project. And so they connected with us to help bring this to life, because we've made a lot of comics and graphic novels over the years, as well as working in film and TV and animation and games and all that good stuff as well. And so it's kind of a match made in heaven to bring their sensibility, their kind of style, their approach to humor, this incredible world, which we're going to talk about, anthropomorphic eggs that go on adventures, bringing that into graphic novel form. And actually their first project in the kind of comics graphic novel world, and their first project that's really direct to their consumer, to their fan base, and some fun aspects of that. So we could not be more thrilled. We're having the time of our lives making this thing, and we love it when they see it.
It's funny because you said sensibilities, and there's nothing about Robot Chicken that sounds sensible to me.
Right.
It's like, what are you talking about? What have I missed? Adam, what's it like? You work with animators, and animation. Robot Chicken's massively popular across the world. What's it like, sort of like going back from motion, albeit pictures motion or model motion, back to something that's more 2D in comic books? It's like, is it a different craft altogether, or is it just kind of stop at the storyboards, guys? We've got it.
Yeah, I think it's a very different. I think, look, the storytelling process is the same no matter what, right? Like you're looking to tell stories with characters that people connect with, and then with the case of Stupid Buddy, and although I've been obsessively watching their last series, the Crossing Swords on Hulu. It's just incredible, because it's actually this incredibly sweet central character who is just constantly getting into trouble and constantly screwing things up, but is kind of bumbling along and doing okay because of it, despite of it in a funny way. And so, part of what we've done going into the comic is, working with Harvatine, who's the director of basically all the Stupid Buddy stuff, and the creator of this series. He had this idea for the Von Dingle series, kind of working with him to put some structure around these ideas, and to, it's as opposed to, Robot Chicken, which is obviously kind of gag, and then Crossing Sword, which is, 20-minute, 22-minute, half, short episodes with a gentle through line, but it's very much like, it's this very kind of episodic nature of that series. With this, it's like, okay, we're going to do a 4-issue graphic novel. Like, what does that look like? How does that track? How do we track this story through? So it's just kind of, that's been the fun and the slight challenge of like it kind of pulling back and looking at a slightly more kind of global view of how do we tell this compelling story and get in these continual funny gags, punchline, that those guys are just so good at producing.
I suppose that's kind of the hard part, isn't it? I mean, comics are comics, and we all love comics. That's why we're here, okay?
Of course.
But sometimes humor can be lost in comics the same way horror can, because you don't have that kind of music or that other kind of tone of what's going on to help set the scene. It can kind of... So, for example, if I'm thinking of an episode of Frasier where Niles is trying to iron his his shirt or whatever, everything goes wrong, and it's pure slapstick, which isn't Fraser's forte. But because you get to see the motion and it reflects what we do as human beings, it's funny. Like, oh yeah. It doesn't necessarily get that in comic books. It's hard to do kind of slapstick without the other mediums. So help us out then. So you guys work as a tandem, a team.
Mm-hmm.
Who does what?
It's a good question sometimes.
It's a good question. We sometimes still get confused on that. Yes.
So I mean, Adam and I specifically have been working together as writing partners and creative partners for over 20 years now, which still feels crazy to say out loud to me, but have made all kinds of things over that time frame. And I think one of the things that's been really fun for me, and I'll tip my hat to Adam here. So Adam has a lot of his background in live action film and television as well, and has been working in the comedy world on that side of things on live action for the last number of years. And we've also been making comics together for the last, 8 years or so as well.
10 years, yeah.
And so, as we've been kind of doing the comic side of things, most of our comics projects have been more fantasy, action, adventure, or like more kind of hard-edged, more mature themed, kinds of things. And the fun part of this for me is kind of watching Adam, who's built this kind of muscle around, comedy in the film and television world, to be able to bring that now back into this thing that we've been doing on the comic side. And so it's this really fundamentally wonderful amalgam of these experiences. And then you sprinkle the stupid buddy sensibility and goodness on top of all of that. And it's just become this really wonderful creative process. And then, shout out to the artist too, Patrick Williams, who's a phenomenal cartoonist in and of his own right. And he's, really been able to do a lot of what you're talking about, is find ways to bring the comedy element, the kind of gag element, to the material as well. I think part of our inspiration is looking at, when I think of comics and comedy, I actually don't tend to think of comic books as much as I do comic strips.
Perfect. I absolutely get that. That is a very good shout, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's
how do you get so much comedy in 3 panels? It's crazy.
Yeah, but it's incredible, right? Yeah, it's its own amazing art form. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So you'll actually, if you're a backer of the campaign, or if you become a backer of the campaign, you'll see we've been actually playing with some of that as well. So we've got the first few 3-panel comic strips also set in this world that are going to just be part of the bonus material in the book, and we'll end up doing some more of those as well. But it's kind of looking at that sensibility, the kind of real setup, payoff, setup, payoff, setup, payoff kind of way of approaching those comedic beats. And then, as Adam was saying, kind of building this longer, kind of adventure story on top of that as the spine of it that carries the whole thing. So it's a cool amalgam of all those elements.
I'm a big fan of the comic strip. All right. I grew up reading Calvin and Hobbes.
Yes.
I love Calvin and Hobbes. Right. So Calvin, it's kind of what you're kind of talking about. There's the comedy element, and you all laugh at the stuff. Yeah. There is the sweet, tender moments.
Yeah.
The story with the hedgehog, for example.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, it doesn't go well. But then when you try and throw in an overarching sort of like theme to everything, other than him not wanting to go to school, dreaming of Spaceman Spiff, there's not a lot of tuna sandwiches. There's not a lot going on.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So then you've got comedy, you've got comic strips, ideas, and the methods of getting that humor across, and then you've got an arc. Adam, that sounds like a lot of plates to spin, man.
I mean, on some levels it is, and I think it's part of the process, the kind of writing creative process we're going through with Harv at the moment, who is, he is the, like I said, he's the director of this, of basically all things Stupid Buddy. He is the creator of this series, but he thinks very visually, and he thinks about like, this gag would be great. He doesn't necessarily then back up and say, what is this? How does that, he'll have these amazing like visual moments and these very funny kind of exclamation mark, kind of, the spice for all these things. And then it's like, okay, if we've got this story, and actually a lot of this kind of gelled for me around the Odyssey, funnily enough. Like, it was like, okay, how does this fit? We know that we have this egg Clark who's setting out. We know this thing happens where the tree of life from their village gets stolen, and now he's the consummate outsider in his village. He's got to go on his journey to retrieve the tree. Yeah, sorry, it's in the comic. It's fine.
Yeah.
No, we've got to talk about the comic without talking about the comic.
Right, exactly.
Well, I think like we should back up for a second and say, like, what is the kind of basic concept here? And so, you know,
I get excited and start going.
Oh, I know, we're into it. So when we first started talking to the Stupid Buddy team, you know, this is something that Harv has been kind of working on for a while. They stealth produced an animated short, which is on the Kickstarter page as well, which came out. We were at the Kickstarter was actually the world premiere of this short at Halloween as well. And so this idea of Harv's, you know, basically started with, you know, what happens to the Easter eggs that never get found, you know, the ones that are kind of abandoned and left out to, you know, I suppose in real life kind of rot and decompose.
We use the word ferment around here.
Yes.
Maybe
but
not.
In this world, clearly those eggs grow arms and legs and develop civilizations and then go on adventures. And so, you know, there's this kind of very fun, you know, kind of concept behind all of that. And then some of the, you know, things that really tickled me right off the bat is, like, you know, they're called the Von Dingles because this particular clan of eggs, you know, sprung up around a kind of 100-year-old Von Dingles beer company, you know, abandoned
a capsized truck, basically.
So they see this logo, and that becomes like the name of their culture and, you know, who they are. And then you've got this, you know, central character, and I think part of what's so fun in all this is finding kind of universal themes to bring into, you know, these kind of fantastical worlds, and, you know, it's always kind of a good starting point. And so you've got this main character, Clark, who's the only Von Dingle who, number one, doesn't have any arms, and then number two, doesn't have a face. And so, like, all of his friends are more, you know, fully developed. So he's kind of the odd man out. So
odd egg out. Yes.
The odd egg out. And so now, you know, he and the rest of his friends have to go on this kind of epic Lord of the Rings, you know, style adventure to, you know, find their way, you know, through the story itself, but also for Clark, obviously, to kind of figure out who he is, what's his place in this world, you know, kind of dealing with those kind of questions that we all have at various times. So, I think it's a wonderful marriage of, you know, all of these elements, once again, that create a really unique, you know, offering here.
Okay, cool. Well, let's have a look at the video, because there's a video on your Kickstarter page. Before we look at the Kickstarter, I will say this. I've been dying to say this. Sorry. Sounds like there's quite an extrapolation of different genres going on there.
Oh, yes.
You know what? That's one that we haven't thought of before, so I intend to...
Feel free to use that one.
We're going to be stealing that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's no yoke. All right. Here's the video. Have a look out and check this out. It's coming up just now for you.
I'm ecstatic.
Oh.
Hey friends, I'm Seth Green, one of the co-owners of Stupid Buddy Studios, and this is my partner.
Hello, I'm Harv, also one of the co-owners of Stupid Buddy Studios.
The creative minds behind shows like Robot Chicken and Crossing. We are so excited to talk to you about a brand new project that we have been developing that you can be a part of helping to bring into reality. Have you ever wondered what happened to the Easter eggs that didn't get found?
When I was a kid, I always wondered what happened to the Easter eggs after you set them up and hide them. Like, where did they go? What happened to them? And I'm hoping we can shed some light on what exactly does happen to them.
I think it's a mystery that has been pondered on around the globe, at least anyone who celebrates the ritual of hiding and discovering Easter eggs, the ones that don't get found.
Yeah.
Do they find each other?
Pretty sure they grow arms and legs, and they waddle off away from whatever tree or bush that we're hidden in. They'll start to grow families and villages where all these little eggs, all the Von Dingles gather.
Are these misfit eggs always threatened to be rediscovered by adult and kid humans that want to smash and eat them?
Since they're hidden Easter eggs, I think they spend their whole lives in fear that they'll be discovered by humans.
And this is their untold story.
This is the story of the Von Dingles and their adventure. This is an expression of that kind of wonder of little characters in our world through a comic book.
Now let's just both point at each other at the same time.
That's cute, right?
Or do you? That was class. Very good. So when we think about it, there's lots of different ideas going on there. You know, there's creating family, creating identity. There's horror. There's comedy. There's Hobbit-esque adventures.
Indeed.
Tell you what, I hope you're charging each other double bills for this one, because that sounds like a lot to get through. For one plate of eggs.
About eggs, and that's been one of the challenges. Is the lead character has, the eggs are great and they're so fun and emotive, whatever. And now you're adding this added complexity to that of a lead character who has no face, and so he has to be, he has to be conveying emotion by what he does and how he holds his body, and other people reacting to him as if they can hear him. So it's a kind of unique challenge within an interesting world to add this extra layer of complexity. But I mean, so far so good, I would say, with everything that we've managed to get going so far.
Absolutely. And we haven't even talked about the pecker, so it's all good.
Keep it clean, guys. It's not that type of show. Keep your pecker in your pants where it belongs. They make me blush.
One of the nemesis of the Von Dingles. We will keep it clean, but I can only say I can't stop making puns in my mind about this character.
Character the Pecker, yes.
Yeah.
He's called the Pecker because he has this gigantic metal beak that he uses to crack other eggs open with. And then he's creating an army of cybernetic eggs, which he blows all the yolk out of, and is building them to take over the world. That's his ambition.
I can't keep it straight. You've got peckers that blow. It's like, what are you trying to do to me? It's like, guys, come on.
Like you say, it's a mishmash of a lot of different things. There's a lot of Lord of the Rings in there. There's definitely there's obviously Star Wars. Like I say, it's a bunch from the Odyssey we came out of the middle. I mean, we're just I think it's the benefit of being kind of, I don't know, just raised with this mishmash of pop culture and mythology that we steal from everywhere and hope it makes sense.
Borrow. I prefer the term borrow. I think Harrison Ford once said there's only 7 types of story. Yeah. So who's going to argue with Harrison Ford, right?
Totally. I like that. Folklore as opposed to mythology. That's kind of cool. Yeah. Yes.
Cool. We're going to take a break for one of our ads before we get into the Kickstarter. Have a look at what we can get. The book is fully funded. Well done already. Let's have some history from you guys. When back in the day, what comics floated your boat back when you first were getting into comic books?
Oh, how long do we have?
Oh my god!
I'll put it like this: I've got 3 adverts to choose from. So why do you say
there we go.
Knock yourself out.
For me, growing up in England, it was 2000 AD all the way. Like that was what got me obsessed. Every week I would go down to I was in school in Bristol, and I would go down to Forbidden Planet on Park Street, I think it is, and we were allowed out of school for a few hours, and I'd go down there and buy my 2000 AD for 50 pence, and just became an obsessive collector of that at that point. So 100%, that's it for me.
The new Doctor Who aired at the weekend over here, and
yes,
I laughed at the start of it, and my wife's like, "What are you laughing for?" I was like, "It's Pat Mills and Dale Gibbons." And I was like, 2000 AD.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, so 2000 Eben.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been, I learned to read from comics. I've been pulling comics off the spinner rack since I was, at that age, and definitely picking them up in gas stations and checkout lines at grocery stores and all that. So, definitely heartbroken when comics went from 25 cents to 50 cents to 60 cents to $1 to, that whole progression. Yeah. But I think the obsession for me started in middle school, which is where I started my first kind of weekly trek to the comic store, and had the pull list and all that stuff. And so I'm right in that sweet spot of like remembering when the early black and white indie boom started, and passing up TMNT #1, which I always regret because I had it. And then I also have an illustration background, so I thought I was going to grow up to draw comics, and so I was kind of obsessed with the art and craft of that as well. And became mentored by a comic artist named Brian Stelfreeze, who some people will know from Black Panther and a bunch of other
Shadow of the Bat covers.
Shadow of the Bat covers, absolutely.
The Black Canary cover is absolutely gorgeous. So just want to put that out there for everyone who wonders why I haven't mentioned fishnets yet. There you go. There's the obligatory fishnets thing.
There you go. And so I mean, I also was a child of the 90s image boom and got very into that, and then the speculation crash, and it's part of all of it. So I think my favorite run is still kind of the Mark Silvestri era of X-Men is probably still my favorite period of especially Marvel comics. But all that stuff was just obsessed.
What Eben isn't mentioning is that he would go to preschool dressed in a Superman costume every single day, and when he was little, he thought he would grow up to become Superman, and was then crushed when he realized Superman wasn't actually from Earth. So yes,
and not being from Krypton. But then of course the logic kicks in, and I'm like, well, if I can't grow up to be Superman, I'll shift my attention to Batman, because it's just, and then you just got to be rich and have cool toys, and I'm down with that. And then my mom loves to tell a story that I came to her one day and was essentially like, hey, asking for a friend, do you know where I could find a radioactive spider?
Oh my God. All right then, so with all that to go with, I think it's time for one of my favorite adverts. Maybe you guys will like this with your animation background. It's time for a crisis.
Fantastic.
Everyone loves that advert. That's Crisis in Toyverse. Sorry, I had nothing 2000 AD, but there was turtles in it, so there you go.
A little bit of stop motion in there, love it. Love it. And I also have to say the fact that Keanu Reeves gets kind of grandfathered into all of the rest of the universes here is a delightful addition, I think.
So check out Bobo. He will be dropping shows left, right, and centre in the room to Christmas. The McFarlane range of toys are coming out soon. So you'll be having a look at those. Yes, he takes them out the boxes. Yes, he plays with the figures. Don't shout at me. I don't know that. All right, just saying. Let's not get our collector's geekiness in our twist. All right, what I'm saying. Thanks very much.
I've got a lot of toys in my collection as well, and I was always the buy one to open, buy one to keep. Kind of.
Well, obviously, someone has more money than right. Let's have a look.
Where you're choosing to spend the resources that you have could sometimes be questionable, but
you said that, not me. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's have a look at the Kickstarter. Here we go. because I'm in the UK, it's in pounds. Let's change this up. You have been pledged $33,556 US for a $33,000 goal. You have a massive 249 backers, and at time of recording, you've got 11 days left to go. That is huge. Absolutely well done, gentlemen. Absolutely well done. That's massive.
We have to get the first stretch goal is, I think, at $35,000. So we're definitely pushing to get that, because Harv, who's obviously the creator of the show, has this amazing kind of Viking-like beard, and he has. When we cross that first goal, I'm going to say not if, because it's going to happen.
Yes. Yeah.
We get to throw eggs at him. Live stream throwing eggs at him, and then we're going to film it in slow motion as well. And the idea of egg in this beard of his is horrifying, but in the best possible way.
Yes. I think getting to egg the director and one of the creators of Robot Chicken feels like it's something that we need to come together, rally around.
Yes,
raise a flag.
Yeah, I can just say, sounds great if you want to burn a bridge and not work with the guy again. But
he suggested it. Weirdly enough,
he put himself on the chopping block, and then when we hit 50K, this beard that he's had for his entire professional life is coming off. Like, these are things he loves this project so much. He's like, not only will I let you egg me in slow motion, if we can get to 50K, like, you get to shave the beard and everything in stages and capture it all along the way. So there's like 10 styles of, facial hair.
It was Seth Green that was like, we need to do it in like patterns. So we'll give you like the Lemmy, and then we'll give you the goatee and like the, the Lucifer mustache, and it's great. So yes.
Lots of fun to be had with these guys.
I might take a bank loan out just to do this, just like right. First up, so pledge amounts. Let's get into this. $12. You get the digital download. I think I want free access to the Macroverse app. What's the Macroverse app?
So funny you should ask. So part of what we've been doing over the past few years is building out this digital comics platform, which is unique in the comics industry, in that we have developed what we believe is the first digitally native format for comics. And so the short version of that is, it's not a PDF on an iPad like people are familiar with Comixology, where you're kind of quote unquote turning pages. It's not webtoons where you're kind of scrolling a web page. So we've created a whole different way of approaching comics on a digital device, especially on your phone, where it really feels like a native experience. And so every time you tap the phone screen, something changes. We've gotten very good at adapting existing material as well as creating new material in this format. And so the Von Dingles will also be released through the app, and everyone that backs it gets early access to it. So that means before the book is even done and out in print, you'll be able to follow along, reading the story, getting these episodes as they're created, kind of hot off the presses, into the app.
Adam, let me ask you a quick question. PDFs, they are a must when it comes to Kickstarters, purely for international purposes, right?
Yeah, mostly. I mean, some people do like to have that. I mean, I think, I've got my 25 long boxes of comics that I've collected over the years. And I will admit, like, there are some things where, I'd rather have it in our format, but if we can't get it in our, Macroverse format, then there are some things where it's like, I want to read this, but I don't necessarily care about having the book.
Yeah.
And if you're in that camp, then we'd be more than happy to have you here at the digital level.
I think for me, it's a cost thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's like, I don't mind dropping X amount of money on $5 or $10 on a Kickstarter. I do mind having to pay $25 to get it shipped from God knows where.
Yes. And that is very much a factor as well. Yeah. So it's a great option for people that do not want to have to pay the shipping, and certainly understand that.
So $19 on that, $67 for the actual printed graphic novel. Ships anywhere in the world. Excellent. Right? Can that?
And you still, obviously, you're getting the free year of access to our app through all of these. So for everyone gets that. Everyone gets that early access.
Yeah.
45 for the hardcover. more people have gone for the hardcover than the PDF. That's
Yeah.
impressive. That is impressive.
It's funny.
What would they be after? You get the hardcover and a map of the magical valley of Valdingos.
This is cool. So Harv is really hands-on with a lot of this stuff. So the actual figures, which you'll see later, the puppets that are used in animation, like he's literally making these things with his own hands. And the map is one of those things as well, where he'll be creating the landscape, the world, the Tolkien-esque map of the Van Dingles universe, and then we'll create that in a really cool printed edition and send it out to people that back those.
I love stuff like that. I love when you kind of get like a Conan book, a Bobby Howard Conan book. You open up the cover and there's a map of Samaria and where Hakurnia is and all that. So I love things like
that. When I was growing up, I had these beautiful, my dad's copies of Lord of the Rings. They were kind of ratty, but they had the fold out map of Middle Earth in the front of each book. And it was like you couldn't take them out. It was like someone had gone through and just glued these things in there. But they were magical for me as a kid. Like I absolutely love them.
It creates a world. Like you've got a connection to the world in a way that you don't otherwise. And I think that's so much of what we have the opportunity to do with this project and so many of these things is, really invite people to come into this world. And so, doing that with things like a representation of where you could go in that world is a cool way to do that.
It's somewhat ironic, isn't it, when you think, Adam, you mentioned Lord of the Rings. It's funny how you've got such a literary tome. Lord of the Rings is like, what, this bit? It's huge. But then in order for people to get it more accessible, you've got to put some art in it.
Yes. Yeah. That's right.
So isn't that kind of like a comic book? Have I just devalued the Lord of the Rings to a comic book?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Just with eggs, so we avoid any copyright issues. That's fine.
Oh, just with eggs. Yeah. Lord of the Eggs. I mean,
exactly.
Eggs of the Ring.
One yolk to rule them all.
Oh, I hope he's making it.
This is recorded, right? No, there's no question.
Well, copyright this show. Feel free to use anything that I say. That would be smashing if you do. All right. Oh, there's another one. Let's have a look. What else we got? If you're a shop, you can get 5 copies. Excellent. Good.
Or if you just want 5 copies, feel free to dive in.
If you're Eben in this case, I want to buy, read 1 and keep 4, right?
Christmas is coming up. Good time to hand out some excellent graphic novels to friends and family.
You say that, but it doesn't ship till July, so good.
Yeah, that's the only problem, exactly.
Okay, then take it back. If you remember when the Star Wars figures came out, and you had to send the
certificate of authenticity type thing,
the coupon to redeem them. Just think of it like that.
But buying those, you get it was the Nina Num figure that you could collect like bottle box tops for and get this thing. I remember. Oh my god!
It was the name tags, wasn't it, off the packaging? You had to.
Right. It was.
I think I got Nina Num. I got the Emperor. I got like an accessory pack.
Oh yes.
Star Wars.
It was the ramp up of Return of the Jedi, right? Yeah. Oh yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
And so here we're seeing some sample art from Patrick over here, which we just are so in love with.
Yeah. Excellent. Again, we saw some of this in the video, didn't we? The kind of karate sense going on there. I like him with his legs going on whatsoever. That's brilliant.
Yeah. And there's the pecker.
There's Pecker.
Oh dear God.
And you're also seeing here, you'll have to read the graphic novel to see how he got into this predicament. But occasionally Clark will get a face drawn on him with crayon in this case. So we're seeing that there. So while he doesn't actually have the expressive shell as his friends do, sometimes we use that to effect for the story.
Is that because he's going through some PTSD? He's somewhat shell shocked.
Well, might be. It's like hanging
Did
out.
you like the setup? Did you like the setup on that one? No, that was a clever setup.
Very
right?
good. Very good.
Yeah.
I don't think Shell Shock has. I mean, yes, I don't think that has made it in so far. So, yep.
So far, there you go.
We picked up a couple of puns today, if nothing else.
If nothing else, thanks. The art, I really love the art. I really dig the whole kind of trippy comics strip style of it all. It's class.
Yeah.
A lot of ways, it reminds me of. You might hate me for saying this. It reminds me somewhat like of Beano and Dandy in certain ways. If you remember that.
You know what? Yeah. And I think if it's funny, you're right. Actually, even down to like some of the texturing on the page and that kind of thing as well. It's got
It's got the kind of like.
The artist here, Patrick Williams, we've worked with him on a couple of other projects, and the thing I love about his art is, he does capture. To me, he straddles this kind of middle ground between kind of indie comic art and still very commercial in animation, but it does now have this kind of comic strip sensibility in this series as well. So it has this, to me, like very high quality skill level, but a little more of a underground, vibe, which to me fits quite well with the Robot Chicken of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a look at the stretch goals. Right. Guys, you mentioned 35 gets half egged in slow motion, gets a close shave. Ooh. 100,000, a mystery goal.
So we've got if we can get to those higher tiers, we've got some very fun things planned, which Robot Chicken fans in particular are going to be quite excited about.
Flip out about. Yep.
Yeah, excellent. It seems like you've thought of everything. I suppose the beauty of Kickstarter as a model, I think I've said this recently on a different show, is that it's a great way to find your audience, firstly. Secondly, it's a great way to produce the right amount of books for your right amount of audience. Yeah. And therefore you cut down costs and all that sort of thing. That's one of the benefits of Kickstarter, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. And I think also, we see this in all media now, but it's, I think the world is becoming, for lack of a more elegant way of saying it, kind of more nicheified, where it's like, people are finding something that really is like their particular vibe, and the internet makes it very possible for, a smaller group of people to really have an impact in supporting material that resonates with them, that they really like. And so as creators, that also means that we can serve that particular audience in a way that's more specific, as opposed to having to try to, make things that, in movie terms would be like, the four quadrant. And to appeal to everyone, and therefore kind of gets watered down because of it. So I think it has
Marvel movies. Sorry, did I say something there? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought I had something in my throat there. Things are getting watered down.
Right, exactly.
Like Marvel movies. Something's caught in my throat. I was really sorry about that. One more thing I want to show everyone on your Kickstarter. Let me get this up here. I love this one. This tier here. $125. The hardback, and it's signed by the creative team. Now, just to show everyone just how serious people are about the stuff you guys do and the work you do with Robot Chicken. Remember right at the top, it said something like 19 people had bid or backed the standard PDF one.
Yeah.
28 people have signed up for this one. That is huge. So this is the level of fan base that you're dealing with, that the willing to put the hard earned. That must absolutely make you feel, one, really chuffed, and two, really under pressure to deliver, right?
Well, I hope I don't regret saying this later. I think, we feel very confident in our ability to deliver, a phenomenal graphic novel here, but it absolutely is delightful to see that, this weird combination of elements that we've been talking about is being responded to in the way that we responded to it. It's like, this is just going to be a ton of fun. And then, I did want to point out there's one more tier a little bit further down, where the one that I'm really excited about is we are making Clark and Pecker action figures, that posable figures.
So where is Bubble? I need to find Bubble and show him this.
So this is both available in this package, and then it's also available as an add-on to any tier. So for example, if you wanted the figures, but you really just want the PDF for shipping reasons or whatever, like that combination is also doable by bringing the figures on as an add-on when you do your when you choose your tier.
How much of the figures
And
is
part of
that?
the fun of that, and part of the kind of idea behind that, was because of the love that people have for Stupid Buddy and for the the stop motion of it all. It's like, okay, how do we create something that allows fans to just kind of play in this world? So yeah, you get these two little posable figures and a backdrop, and then there's some interchangeable faces for Pecker, and then Clark's crayon that you can like draw on his face with, so that hopefully, what we're really excited about is that people are going to get enthused and shoot their own little versions of these things and send them in and play and
And then Harv and the Stupid Buddy team will also share them out on social media and stuff like that. So
exactly.
I think if people want to play with their toys and show the world, we'll help them do that.
That's a good call. I'm glad you brought that up. That is absolutely spotty dogs. Well done. I'm liking that. Cool, excellent. Right, we're almost running out of time, so let's see if we can get this right. It's going to be difficult because you're both writers and creators, and I'm going to have to go with this. I normally ask for a 60-second pitch on why people should back the book. Adam, will go to you first, then Eben will have yours second. Adam, why should people check this book out?
I think honestly, for me, it is everything that I look for with entertainment. There are definitely, I'm into the dramas, I'm into the horrors and those things, but I also turn to comedy because I think there's so much pressure and stress and anxiety in the world that I think good comedy is a wonderful outlet for that. And I think that is what this brings in a very, very funny, very kind of laugh out loud way, but also with real heart and these kind of, characters exploring what it means to be a person, to become what they want to be and all those things. So I think it is a wonderful antidote to some of the less enjoyable things that are happening at the moment. That would be my take.
Good shout. Eben?
I'll just say, despite the fact that there's a character called the Pecker in this story, it's actually a story designed for all ages.
Yes, it's true.
It is actually a story designed for all ages. So I think this would be very fun. I have two, little kids, and this is something I know we will have a, wonderful time kind of experiencing together and being in this world together. And I think, quite frankly, if you're like me and you're just like, I absolutely love Robot Chicken. I remember when that hit the air and the internet, and just the obsession with what is this and how can they do this? And it's so funny and it's always surprising. And it's that whole experience of what that show is and the rest of what this, the studio makes. If you like that, you're going to like this. And it really is as simple as that on some level.
Perfect. If you want to follow the guys, there's your social media. You've got at Macroverse HQ on Insta and at Macroverse on Twitter. Yes, we're calling it Twitter. We're not calling it X here. None of that.
I fully agree. Fully agree.
You want to check out the project and get pledging? There you go. There's the link. Yes, I know it's a long link. No, there's nothing I can do about it. But guys, you know how it works. You found us. You go to Kickstarter, you type in the Von Dingles, and guess what happens?
You're going to find it.
As if by magic. Yes, it's great.
Yeah.
And last thought, please help us egg Harv. Help us shave that beard. Those are the next steps in this journey. Let's go there together.
Oh, my God. I can't believe I'm on the show advocating egg violence.
It's not quite
wave aside, yes.
My motives must be scrambled. All right, okay.
Very good.
Very good.
I can do this all day. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute blast having you on the show. Thank you so much for sharing the project. You're already funded. You don't need my help, but I'm so glad that you stopped by to talk about it. Well, I'm sure loads of people will be interested from this point on. So Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. Really
Thanks so much for having us on. It's a real pleasure. Thank you. It's been a blast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. There you go. Don't forget to check out the UCPN for all your favorite shows. You saw the trailer for it earlier. Crisis in the Toyverse. And if, like Eben and Adam and I, you like comics of a certain vintage, That's Vestry X-Men run is an absolute killer. Like, don't forget to check out the Old Timers Comic Book Show, where the hosts aren't old, but the comics most certainly are. Christmas edition will feature comics based on toys. We've already done Turtles, so have to take guesses who else comes on there. There you go. Check it out. It's all there. Adam, Eben, absolute blast again. So much. Thank you so much, guys. I really do appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Such a pleasure.
So.
I've been your host, Johnny Machine Hughes, and as always, adios.
Visit undercovercapes.com for the latest and greatest podcasts via the Undercover Capes Podcast Network. Also visit our parent company website, comiccrusaders.shop, all about comic pop culture.